Welcome to the new season of Under the Rug podcast, where we talk about those topics that y'all like to sweep under the rug. I am Honorable Tino, and I'm here with.
You know what I'm saying? It's your boy CK3 the Thrill. As you see, I'm not there with my boy. Y'all know how that go. But y'all, I know you like the setup. You feel me? We got a little something going for you. As always, follow the podcast at UTR the Podcast on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok. We don't really care for Twitter too much. YouTube, you know where to find us, man. But it's your
Come on
boy.
now. You're doing it big this season, you know what I'm saying, on a new remote setup, because my boy is owned by the government. So he up in the Netherlands. I
Hey,
don't know where
chill out, man. Don't be disclosing my
I don't know
location,
where this
man.
man at,
We global now. We
new
global
format.
now.
We taking in hosts. We talking about current topics. We getting it to you whenever. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. The last junts, we shot them junts all within like a matter of a couple of days. So
Hey, and
now we gonna actually get to
folks
the
definitely
topics.
hit me up like, do y'all be like, how y'all be filming the podcast? I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you. We filmed all them joints when I was in the crib.
Come on
Yeah,
now.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Well,
Definitely
we
nothing
here
wrong.
now though. We here now though for sure.
You know what I'm
But
talking about. So
what we talking about today though?
this episode is gonna be called "Do Black Lives Matter?"
You ain't learn your lesson, bro.
I haven't. I don't learn nothing.
Bro, are you trying to get like canceled? You know what I'm saying? On like
I
social
just
media?
gotta I just gotta ask that because I feel like the only reason that Black Lives Matter stuff really went popping that one summer was just because ain't nobody had no weekend plans. Sports wasn't on, the club wasn't open, wasn't nobody at work. So there was like, oh, what's up? It's protest today for sure. Because I don't
Yeah.
really feel like because I feel like of course the obvious thing is Black lives do matter, but I don't think we really show
I
that
guess
in the community. I
what
don't
does that mean? I guess that's the like what does Black Lives Matter? What does that really mean?
Black Lives Matter has to mean what it means. Black Lives Matter. It can't be Black Lives Matter unless you play with me, or Black Lives Matter or unless you broke. Black Lives
Like
Matter
unconditional
unless
type
you
stuff.
did something I don't like or you said something I don't like. Black Lives Matter, but you're not in the same gang as I'm in. Black
Okay.
Lives Matter, but you're not from my city. Black Lives Matter, but I don't like how y'all talk over there. Black Lives Matter, except when it's cold outside. You know what I'm
Same here.
saying? Like it's too many stipulations.
Black Lives Matter until you give them an LLC, huh? I know that's
Come
a
on
soft
now.
one for you.
Black Lives Matter. That LLC
Speaking
stuff,
of
bro.
LLC though, hold on, we gotta, you know what I'm saying, we gotta recap that. Season two, I think season one was very smooth. We were shooting it at the crib, doing it all by ourselves. Season two, we took it up a level. Memphis podcast got us right, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to our guy Cassius. Really got us right, really started getting traction. I checked the YouTube the other day. Every episode got like 200 plus views. About to hit 300 subscribers, 500 followers on Instagram. Like, we really going up. And, like, we got a lot of traction when you said that Pinky from Slutty Vegan giving the LLCs to Clark Atlanta. Let's correct it because everybody was going crazy
Them
on you
both
for
cousins. I
saying
don't care about the difference between Morehouse and Clark. They got the same worthless degree.
that. Hey, I'm tripping. But everybody from Clark, you know what I'm saying? She gave him the LLC. And, bro, that clip blew up. We looking at 500K on Instagram, 1.4 million on TikTok. Pinky posted it. Like, everybody going crazy. And everybody in the comments saying, like, I want to hear what he has to say, right? Like, people getting on your head, this and that. They say, I want to hear more from him. What's his viewpoint? So, after the clip has surfaced, like, what's your viewpoint on it? Is it smart? Is it stupid?
I
Why
mean,
do you feel that way?
my viewpoint really hasn't changed. It's still stupid. Like I understand
Okay.
the concept of it. I understand we're trying to empower people to be their own bosses. But you know what I'm saying, is we all know how that college stuff goes. A lot of them folks are in
Right.
massive debt. Some of them folks gonna go work at Target. And it's just like, what's an LLC gonna do for me if I'm not bringing in money month to month and I'm not able to keep this up? I don't have no other education behind it. And what you give me an LLC for if I want to be a nurse? Like, what if I
Right.
want to be an aerospace engineer? What am I gonna do with the
Right.
LLC?
Right.
I feel like it's one of those things like black people are more so into moral things rather than things that can
Okay.
be quantified in any real sense. But I get it. It's just like it's better than nothing. She could have just did her speech and went home. But
True.
her way she felt like, things was gonna change or be better was throwing out the LLC. I felt like it was stupid. And I also feel like Impossible Burgers are stupid. They're not burgers, they're just sandwiches. But that's
Hey, I
everybody
heard
has their own way they
it was
live.
crazy there. Hey, I was hoping Pinky, you know what I'm saying? I was hoping she hit us with the sponsorship for the Slutty Vegan, send us some of them burgers or something.
I
And
wouldn't
shit.
have ate a burger. I'm not eating nothing vegan, bro.
Hey,
Like,
PP, if you watching this, I will. You know what I'm saying? You
you
trying
can send
to?
me some vegan water.
What is vegan water, bro?
Water.
Bro, you a trip, man. But I mean, I get what you're saying, right? And I understood what you were saying in the joint, and everybody in the comments are like, "Oh, you can't do that." Like the what's them tax people called, bro? IRS. They gonna
All
come
right.
get you. Don't listen to this dude. Well, let's get something first off. Me and you, we just on a podcast. Like nobody, it ain't in the description saying we financial advisors. So if you listen to our podcast and from that podcast strictly take the advice and go try to do it, then I question you as a human for not getting outside resources, right? Obviously, you can't write off things with it LLC. You can do that. Obviously, there are limits to it. And the clearest fact about it is, yes, you have to have money. You need to be making money to be able to write off stuff. Like let's stop stating the obvious just so you can waste your time and type a comment in my mentions. Like I'm tired of reading that stuff, but I appreciate you for watching the video because at the end of the day, like you taking the time lets us know that we triggered you and started the conversation. But I also got to address, bro. People keep saying we set it up to where we knew we was about to discuss that. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, we do not care that much to set up questions to piss people off. What you think about that? People said we set up the LLC question.
I mean, the thing is, it's just once you start getting any sort of small traction as a B, people are gonna have some reason why they feel like it shouldn't have happened or why it only
Right.
happened because of some certain scenario. Like people talk all the time about the podcastification of black men, but the thing is, like black people on
Hold
podcasts
on,
is
bro.
just
Hold
like
on. Rewind. People talk about the what, cuz?
podcastification. People talk all the time like, "Oh, everybody got a podcast now. Everybody
Okay.
doing podcasts, blah blah blah." But the thing is, podcasts have been around for years. The only thing
Right.
is now people talking about it because black people are doing it. It's just like when black people started wearing Michael Kors, all of a sudden Michael Kors ended up at Ross. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's just once black people touch something, it no longer has any real value. Like so, when we start going viral, people say, "Oh, you set it up," because there ain't no other reason that 500,000 people or millions of people would care about anything we have to say, other than if we cheated our way to it.
No, I feel that. That's fact. So let's get back to this. Like, do Black Lives Matter? What is Black Lives Matter? Episode. I feel like a lot of that stems from the recent actions from previously known as Kanye West. I'm gonna pay him his respect. Now known as Ye, as he likes to be called. Ye wore the White Lives Matter shirt. I think it was the New York Fashion Week, something like that, and controversy struck, right? And we know Kanye or Ye has been known for stuff like this with the slavery was a choice, wearing the Trump hat. So he's starting to build up a track record. Um, I'm not gonna say I agree with Ye for everything he says. I think I think he struggles with articulating. Of course, I mess up that word when I'm trying to say it, but he struggles with that sometimes, articulating what he wants to say. But at the same time, if you truly listen to him, I think you start getting to the deeper meaning and purpose of some of the stuff he's trying to allude to, as far as like how controlled our mind is as a community. Like we're so stuck in the way things are that we forget about the way things could be, right? Like we had a conversation one time and you were saying black people have been begging white people for help since the 60s. So like or since slavery, honestly. So like elaborate on that real quick. Just the whole Kanye thing and the statement that you had told me. I want everybody else to be able to hear that.
I mean, the thing is, bro, black people are just lost. Like, and I feel
Okay.
like that's sort of what Kanye is talking about. And of course, like, it's Kanye West, so his job is to make people talk about him. And what better way to make people talk about you than making people mad? And the thing that kills me is people are like, "Oh, Kanye is a detriment to society. He's making black people
Right.
look bad." Black people don't understand what Black Lives Matter means. Black people don't
Right.
understand what it means to be a black person. Black people don't understand what it means to build a community. So look, people will walk past a gang member, a scammer, a poor person with 8 kids, a crackhead, just to reach their phone so they can go tweet that Kanye is destroying the community.
Hey,
Like,
Kanye just said that in the Drink Champs interview too. He said black people on the way to Louis Vuitton will walk past a homeless person. So it's funny that you said that. Keep going up. Keep going up.
but the thing is, like, we are so lost. Like, white people and whomever else, when they legislate and when they talk about us, they look at us as one people. Whether or not I got on a cardigan, or if I'm sagging my pants, or if I'm gang banging, or if I got 5 baby mamas, I'm black.
Right.
At the end of the day, they
They
see
do
us as
realize.
one people, but we want to view ourselves as all these different subgroups. Like, you got the people who spiritually gang bang, and you got people who are
Hold on, hold
educational
on, hold
gang
on, hold on.
bangers,
That's a
or you
that's
got
an
people.
that's an interesting term you just used though. Spiritual gangbang. What is that, bro?
Spiritual
You got
game
something?
banging. It's just like, I'm Christian. Oh, y'all celebrate God on Saturdays. Oh, y'all wild, and you supposed to do it
Yeah,
like this. Oh, you not living like me. Oh, you wilding, bruh. And so we find so many creative ways to pin each other apart. Spiritual game banging, educational game banging, real gang banging. Financial gang banging. Every black person goes in their different subgroups of black people, and if you don't think like us, you're not living right. Oh, you don't got an LLC attached to your S corp, you're not living right, brother. You need to work for yourself. Don't work for the man. Oh, y'all over there, y'all Muslim instead of being Christian. Oh, you non-denominational. Y'all wilding. You feel me?
yeah.
Even within, like, I ain't go to college. You feel me? So I ain't, what I'm
Big,
saying,
big
scholarly or
dropout.
whatever. But you got these people who educational game bang, like, oh, I went to
Right.
this college, we're accredited, or I went to the illustrious blah 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 blah, that didn't even want to pay for housing for their students or
On me.
whomever. Oh, I'm a Kappa, I'm a IO, I'm a whatever. Like,
Big Q.
black people have 1,000 different reasons to split each other up. So that's why it makes it so easy for us to look stupid at any case. It
Hey,
makes it so easy.
they ain't gonna like that one, bro. I'm gonna be real with you. Like they ain't gonna like it. But what you like, you're hitting on a lot of points. Is like we divide ourselves up into all these tiers and the organizations and whatnot. And I mean, I think it's all a plot. A ploy, right? I think it's all strategic. By some greater in command to be like, hey, give them more freedom, but we're also going to manage the freedom by dividing them so that they don't come together and be more powerful. And the only thing that I truly feel like could bring us all together is love, right? We lack so much love in our community because we don't know what love truly looks like. Like our love is so conditional, like you were saying earlier in the episode. It's like, yeah, I love my brother until he says something that I don't like, right? Until he wrongs me. Now I got to cancel him, or now it's like I don't mess with him no more. He ain't real. He fake. You know what I'm saying? Or he's on the other side with the gang, or he's from this neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Or he went to this school, or he's in this frat. She's in this sorority. You know what I'm saying? Like, or
Yeah.
like you even look at the rap game. You got rappers beefing on Twitter every day. Like I just seen like Cardi B and what's the other Lotto beefing on Twitter. It's like, man, y'all are like, y'all have this platform. Y'all don't understand the influence and what that shows. Now you got black people picking sides against black queens, and one of the biggest recent ones, if you look at USC and you look at that girl who's at you, or young lady, young woman at USC who starts this majorette program, and everybody's like, oh, she's still in HBCU culture. Like, bro, let's be real, man. Like, why are we gatekeeping the culture? When are we gonna get past this point where if you're black, right, and you go to a PWI, why, if you go to a PWI, you can't participate in things or start things extra PWI that exist at HBCUs? Like, people are like, oh, that's bringing publicity to the PWI. No, it's bringing publicity to the young black women at the PWI. But you're so stuck that it's at that campus and not your campus, right? And your campus isn't getting the attention. It goes back to what you said, the status race, the status competition. So now we're upset that she's doing it. Like, that stuff kills me, man. Like, everybody gets upset when they aren't the one with the spotlight. It's like some of us have a role on this earth, some of us have a role in this world to help other people get up there. But we don't want to embrace that because everybody wants the spotlight. I get it, right? Natural inclination, you want the credit. But at the end of the day, this young black woman has started a majorette program at USC, PWI, but now she has created a space for black women to go show our culture to these people and expose them to it, and you're upset because she's on an interview with Jennifer Hudson, I think it was, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, HBCU majors don't have a show. Oh, funny you
Speak
say
on
that
it.
because they're on
Speak on it.
ESPN Plus, but you don't really care until it's in the spotlight. That stuff kills me, man.
That's the thing. It's all gang banging. Like whether they want to call it or not. Like I remember I was reading this book called The Future of the Race by
Right.
Cornel West, and he was talking about how back in the day they had paper bag parties. And for
Yeah,
anybody out there who don't know what a paper bag party is, it was essentially a party that people have at their house, and they'll place a paper bag next to the door. And if you were darker than the paper bag, you couldn't get in, right? And we would all objectively be like, "Oh, that's messed up. You mean to tell me I can't get into this if I'm not light skinned because I'm too dark? Like, oh, that's crazy." But now we have a new paper bag test, and the new paper bag test is, are you black enough? You feel me? So
right.
if you ain't at an HBCU doing this, then you're not black enough, shawty. If you're not talking the way I do in these environments, then you're not black enough. If you're not, aligned with what I believe in and where I come from, you're not black enough, and therefore we have to gatekeep uh, the warmth and love of the community from you because you're not fully authentically black. Because
Well,
if the
what does that even mean to be fully authentically black? Like, are you saying there's an actual meaning to that, or are you saying we've created this fully
everybody
authentically black?
everybody's created their own perception of it because
Okay.
there is no real meaning to be black because at a certain point being black, you know what I'm saying, when you had I'm black and I'm proud, when you had Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and the Black Panthers and whomever else, I'm tripping, uh when
Hey,
you
man, stop playing.
when you had people really having that consciousness about their own community. Being black meant, being respectable.
Right,
Being black meant protecting your community.
right,
Being black meant um, thinking about your community and how the things you do and the way you are and whatever you align yourself with would affect the community, right?
right.
But now everything is me, me, me. That's all we care about. You feel me? I don't care if you look at even how we look at philanthropy or nonprofits or whatever. It's all just a business now. It's all scamming. The only difference is, if I'm a scammer in the hood, I'm gonna ask you if you bank with Bank of America. But if I'm a nonprofit and I'm a scammer, I'm gonna ask how you feel about the black community. And do you want to give me some money so I can help the black community? When in actuality, I'm not going to do anything to help the black community because that's not going to make me no dollars. You feel me? I'm not going to be able
Yeah,
to post up and be live. You feel me? Folks get grant money or they work for these nonprofits and they do whatever and the community doesn't see that. You're eating crab legs wearing fur coats and Gucci shoes, whereas the school right across the street, they might have kids who really enjoy art but they can't afford paintbrushes, they can't afford certain programs. You might have a kid there that loves baseball or volleyball but they don't have the funds to be
the
able to bring
resources
that
to be
in.
able to do it. And
The
so, like,
fam ain't eating cheddar biscuits.
what you're saying though is reminding me of the statement that you said. Like, you said it in the previous season, season 2. If you don't remember the episode, y'all need to go tune in and watch all of them until you find it. But you were saying like white people aren't your moral compass, right? And what we were talking about the other day, you saying like as black people, we've been begging white people to help us or to accept us.
Of
So do
course.
you think that like we compare ourselves to white people in order to determine whether or not we're successful and where we stand in life? Like, is that how we measure ourselves as black people? Or are we focused on like truly elevating black people? Or is it like, I just want to be like the white people? What do you think on that?
I feel like there's multiple sides to that.
Right,
Because, say, for instance, when people talk about generational wealth, who do they bring up? The Rockefellers, the
right,
Bezos, whomever else. They don't talk about how the Rockefellers were lobbying to, make sure that their own companies didn't become obsolete when all these new inventions of technology came about. Like, you look at someone like Henry Ford, right? He wasn't. We talked about in the last season. He wasn't just some genius who came up with the V6 engine. He had everybody else making up stuff. But if I'm somebody with a car company, the last thing I would want was the government spending X amount of millions of dollars on a train system or some sort of high speed rail that could take me from Chicago to Memphis or from Memphis to Idaho. I wouldn't want that because I would want people to be buying my vehicles.
Right.
So I would want to lobby to make a heavy dependent infrastructure in all these communities. If you look at the suburbs, you look at whatever else, there's so many places in Memphis where even if you wanted to walk somewhere that was 5 minutes away, you wouldn't be able to because there are no sidewalks, because these companies come up with all of this infrastructure to align their pockets. And so you talk about people talking about, oh, the white people do this, the white people do that. White people have proven, and I'm not going to say all white people, but there are white people who have proven since the beginning of time, especially the most wealthy of the wealthy, because I do understand that there are poor white people, but they have proven over and over again that they only care about themselves, they only care about their own dollar. And so when people do things and they say, oh, well, white people do it, they don't say that because they think that it makes them morally justified. They
Right.
say that because they see white people doing it, and so they just think that's something that makes sense. Oh, this is what the white people do. People have more respect for white people than they do themselves. You can
Mm.
tell, like even when you go to a restaurant, somebody might not give you the same service they will give someone else, but if a white person come in the room, they're gonna put on that voice and they're gonna talk like this. And what do you need? Because they know a white person gonna talk to the manager or whomever else because they respect their time and their own and their self. But us, we'll just take whatever. You feel me? Like
Why do you think that though? Why do we do that? Why do we take whatever? Why do we not shift our mindset? Why do we not change how we like what we? And I'm not saying so. Let's get this out now. I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying everybody does this, but we're just speaking for like there are black people who just take that because it's like, oh, they're white, that's why they're talking to them like that. I'm black, but like at the end of the day, it's like, nah, I want you to treat me as you would treat any other customer at this high end restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So like, why do you feel like we don't really dive into that?
who are the role models within the black community?
So if you're gonna ask me, right? Everybody reposts Barack Obama posts when he posts on with Michelle Obama. Probably don't read the caption; they just see it. They think it's cool, so they put it on their story. Um, Lil Baby just dropped. I probably saw his album cover on 95% of my stories. So we can go with the rap game. Everybody's saying free YSL, not really caring what they've done in Atlanta, me included, free YSL. I at least acknowledge the ignorance though, right? But so we can say, so you have when we say who are the influencers within the black community, right? Um, the first names that come to everybody's mind is a Barack Obama, a Oprah Winfrey, and a Steve Harvey, Tyler Perry. Let's say those are the top four, you know. And then once you get that's business wise, that's like doing it the white man's way, as some people will say. Once you get past them, you go into the athletes and the rappers. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, you know what I'm saying? Lil Baby, Future, like we worship Future even though he's 40 years old, talking about being toxic in relationships. Then we talk about why black homes are ruined and we don't connect the dots, you know what I'm saying? So it's weird how we operate, but all of that plays into it. You feel me? So I think it's tiers to like who the influencers are.
So here's the thing. You talk about why don't and I'll say it if someone were to ask me because I know you don't want to generalize anybody, but I'll generalize these folks. You want to talk about why black people don't respect themselves the way white people do, why
Right.
black people don't see worth in their communities the way white people see worth in theirs, or why black people don't want to love or whatever. There's not anything out here that breeds any young black children to care about themselves. If I'm a young black girl, who do I look up to? Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. All I'm gonna learn is to be a bad
Glorilla.
gorilla. If like I'm not gonna learn how to be ladylike, that's for sure. But I'm gonna learn how to pop. You know what I'm saying, vagina. I'm gonna learn to twerk at the red lights on them headlights. Um, and I'm gonna learn from Megan Thee Stallion to pop my coochie or whatever. If I'm a young black child, and I'm learning from Lil Baby, I'm gonna learn to rock some ice. You know what I'm saying? Not letting nobody play with you. You know, hey, you talking about like you know how I'm coming. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm strictly about to get money. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't really, translate to a Zoom meeting for work. And then you might look at people who look at LeBron as a role model. And with LeBron is doing amazing things. LeBron has, been so consistent in his career and then not let anything else taint, the work he's done. And we're seeing
Right.
like how hard that is to do, especially in the age of the internet. How hard he works at his own image. But correct me if I'm wrong, there's about a million young black boys who want to go to the NBA. If I'm not
100%.
mistaken, there's about 400 positions in the NBA.
400. Hey, 100%. It's less than like 1%.
You feel me? So less than 1% of them young black boys are going to be able to make it. And so past that, you have Barack Obama, right?
Yeah.
Barack Obama, we can, get into on another episode, whatever, about, the harm that he might have done to the community or the lack of anything that he did for the community. But if a young black boy wanted to look at Barack Obama,
So
that's
here's the
about
so
that's
here's the
about 8 years of college.
here's the
That's
problem
suits
I have.
everywhere.
Here's
That's
here's the
being
problem.
an extremely palatable black man.
Here's the
And
problem I have with what did Barack Obama do for the community though? Because it's like as a president, you're limited with your power. So did black people want him to just like bring all the white people down, bring the white people up? Like, what do we truly expect from Obama in office? You feel me? Like, what is doing something for the community? Because he did accomplish things. And as the president, he did not have the majority in Congress. So most of the stuff that he tried to push past got pushed down. That's the whole point of, you know what I'm saying, checks and balances that we have in our government that people don't understand. And so they be like, Black Obama ain't do nothing for the community because I still can't go out and sag my pants and smell like weed and not get a job. It's still racism out here, right? So it's like, where do we draw the line and what did Obama do for the community and whatnot? With the realistic and
I
actuality.
mean, when he first won in 2008, he had a fair amount of representation within the White House to be able to do something or make some sort of legislation. But I understand that being the president, you can't just snap your fingers and make something happen. But he did have Republicans scared. Lindsey Graham himself, a U.S. senator, said that the Republican Party wasn't generating enough angry white guys to stay in business for long enough. And when Donald Trump came in, he made you be able to see how much the president can really do. And you could talk about the laws that he
Now
broke.
let's pause.
He
Let's get
still
time out. Let's get a time out because we got to talk about everything that Donald Trump did was not legal. Now Donald Trump just said "f the rules." So
I feel you.
did we
I feel
want
you on that.
Obama to just put all his
But
ethics
past, but
aside to just be like, yeah, like as the president, you can get to the point where you be like, I don't believe in any of this. But let's also remember that Donald Trump did get impeached because of some of the things that he did, right? And we're still figuring out all that stuff today. So yes, Obama could have abused his rights, right? But at the end of the day, how does that make him look as a black man in power to just abuse the system?
the thing is, he could have talked about how marijuana shouldn't have been a Schedule One drug. He could have talked about how Black American homes have been devalued by $1.6 billion. He could have did many things, passed legislation. He could have stood up for us at any point, but he never did. When I believe Eric Garner, when he got killed in Baltimore and there were riots, he called the young black people who were rioting thugs. When Flint, Michigan was having issues with water, he went to Michigan, and immediately when he got on stage, she said, "Can somebody give me a glass of water?" Took a sip, put it down, and from then on, you didn't hear anything about Michigan because he made it seem like, oh, Michigan, all right, they got water, even though he didn't even really drink the water. He just wet his lips with it, you know. And so the thing about it, when it comes to Barack Obama, is of course like I cannot imagine all the things that he learned being president. I
Right.
cannot imagine everything because we saw he aged 100 years within 8 years of being president. I can't imagine what he saw. But at no point in time did he ever make himself out to be an ally to the black community. He was just, yes, we can. Hey, you guys, my dad's black, even though I never met him. Vote for me. He literally won. He won the only he won because he was black. People voted for him because he was black. But
I mean, that's a
when
fact.
he got in there, he was just a placeholder. And so you could say that he couldn't just go give reparations, or he couldn't go drop Jordans off at every home in America. But the thing is, Barack Obama did absolutely nothing. And whether
I
or
ain't gonna
not,
say nothing, but for sure, I
what
feel
did he
you.
do?
I get what you're saying, but I
He
gotta
gave us
like,
flu, he gave
I'm
us
not.
flu shots and speeches.
He handled the swine flu pandemic though. Obamacare was one of the most successful things that he did. Um, you got to maybe really think because people don't understand like how people said we plan the LLC question. We don't plan our podcast either. So it's like these are conversations that we would be having without this camera in front of us. Um, Barack Obama did a lot for terrorism as well. You know what I'm saying? We've been
Oh yeah,
lying.
all those drone strikes he did on families of 5.
So let's
Great
be
job,
real.
Obama.
Let's be real though. Let's be real though. And you know me being in the military is like I get outside looking in. Everybody's always like, "Oh, why is the military doing this and that?" And I'm not gonna get into this too much, but there's always reasons behind why we do what we do. You feel me? So I'm not gonna act like some of that stuff. And obviously, what becomes an issue is like what's ethical and what's not ethical. But that's a whole different discussion that we could get into another episode. But it all goes back to the fact, right? Obama did a lot for the employment rate. He did a lot for for the unemployment rate. It was one of the best since he was in office. If you look at the stock market, it was performing well, right? He's creating these job opportunities, healthcare. It's like he's doing great things as a president. I just think since he was black, right, and this is a society thing when you are black and you get placed in some of these roles, like people look at you like you're a Superman. And I think that this is the issue. As people get more status, we forget that they're human, right? And this is one thing with Christianity, because you see a lot of people criticize Kirk Franklin, some of the stuff that he does, or Michael Todd, right? And obviously, every action has consequences. I'm not acting like that's not the case, but we place so much value in these humans and we don't even realize that we worship these humans and we idolize them and we turn them into these superheroes and then we get upset when they mess up. It's like, yo, they're humans. Like you placed all that value in them, right? And so Obama, right, being a successful black man like he is, he gets elected as president. It's like, yo, we want that man to get in the White House and not make any mistakes and just be this perfect guy. It's not gonna happen. Like it's just not gonna happen. He's gonna make mistakes. He's gonna do good things. He's gonna do bad things. But at the end of the day, what are you doing, right? So we get upset about Obama and what Obama did or didn't do for the black people. But my question for those people is like, yo, what are you doing for your community, right? Like that's the biggest issue I have with it. Is a lot of people will criticize Obama for doing something, but all they want to go do is just smoke weed all day and listen to young boy videos on YouTube and complain about what's going on in the world. Like, relax, right? And I know people are going to be like, oh, you just generalize black people. So let me address this again because I'm not a racist. I'm not a coon. Like, obviously, every black person is not smoking weed, just getting high to YoungBoy videos. But all I'm saying is, what are you doing for the community before you go criticize somebody who's made 1,000,000 times the progress that you've made for the community?
I don't know if he made 1,000,000 times the progress because the biggest nexus moment that he had was wearing a tan suit.
That joint was tough, though. That joint was tough.
It was a nice suit.
I mean, ain't nobody else do it, bruh. Obama brought swag into the White House, bruh. Like, let's be real. So me personally,
I have a dream that one day a light-skinned nigga will bring swag to the White House. I believe that's what the black community needs.
Me personally, bruh, Obama
and Kobe Bryant will drop 81 points.
We don't. It's no way to quantize the amount of inspiration and progress that Obama did when he was in the White House because you got young black men like me who watched Obama's inauguration in the 4th grade when I was at PDS, an all-white, for real, private school, you know what I'm saying? It's like 4 of the black kids in my grade, and I'm watching this black man get inaugurated into the White House as president of the United States. And at that moment, I realized that there's not anything that I cannot do in this world, right? And whether or not I become a president one day, like that stuff doesn't matter. But what it did was create a drive in me to know that it's possible, right? It broke down so many of those barriers in my mind to where you have to look like something to be able to get in a position, like right there in the fourth grade. But we don't look at that impact. We look at whether or not he was able to give us 8 stimulus checks a year. You feel me? Like, so I just think sometimes we got to get real and be realistic in our community and like, what does real progress make? What does real growth look like? You know what I'm saying?
I have a dream that a light skinned nigga will bring healthcare to America and cell phones.
Bro, you a jerk, man.
Obamacare and Obama phone. Shout out, Barack.
But anyways, Brad, did you seen that new Tyler Perry movie on Netflix?
No, I have not seen that new Tyler Perry movie.
I'm not gonna see somebody like me. I would just do a spoiler alert.
How many bad wigs were in the movie?
A lot. Nah, not many. It wasn't too bad, but I think he did really good with this movie. I think with the new Tyler Perry Studios, he's about to turn it back up. I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to go watch it, and we'll talk about it in another episode. But I think what he showed in that movie depicts, and it's so dope how he did it, because obviously the movie took place like right after slavery, right? It's like 18. I can't remember the year, but it's like back there. But the underlying themes that he showed are still very relevant in the world today. And so he did a good job with it. I hate that you ain't seen it.
Yeah. I ain't gonna slander Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry, if you see this, I would love to play aggressive black man number 4, if you need me, or scorn young black men number 8, if you ever need me. You can even put me. You can even give me a cornrow wig, and I can be the man who the gardener who comes and saves the young black woman's life. Or if you need to, I can shave the beard off and get a goatee, and you can let somebody pour hot grits on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm out here. I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for them acting opportunities.
That man said he hungry, bro. I'm tripping, bro. But he did good. You got to tap into that. We'll tap into that another episode. Just getting back to it, though. I mean, I believe, when we think about do Black Lives Matter, obviously Black Lives Matter. There's no secret to that, right? I just don't think we show that every day, and we are uncomfortable speaking out about some of the issues that we have because we're scared to get labeled. But at the end of the day, like, what does it really mean to even get labeled, right? Like, it kills me. People unknowingly live their lives based off the opinions of other people. And so they'll be scared to say something because they won't be accepted with the greater community. But at the end of the day, they know that there's an issue with the greater community. They'll rather just not speak out about it because they don't want to get rejected.
Think about it, bro.
One of the episodes, like, the greatest need for a human is to be accepted. The biggest fear is to be rejected. And so until we feel comfortable talking about, like, yo, like, that Black Lives Matter movement, like the actual organization, I'm not talking about like what Black Lives Matter really mean. I'm talking about the organization was corrupt and nobody pays attention to it. We just act like it never happened. They ran off with all the millions from the GoFundMe.
Because they got money. That's all we care about. Martin Luther King said something about, and I'm probably butchering the quote, but he said something about people are scared to say things that will not fit everyone or that'll offend anybody. People want to say things that will blanket the whole community and make everybody happy. But the thing is, there's so much terrible stuff going on that nobody cares about. Right now, all these little girls, their favorite singer has multiple songs about their pussy. I'm sorry, we can block that out. But it's just the fact of the matter. You have little 8-year-old children who, feel awkward, and instead of just going through that awkward phase and then going through life and just understanding things, they just decide, you know what? I think I'm a dude. Mom, can you spend $75K so I can have a gender reconstruction surgery, or I can get some testosterone pills so my voice can get deeper, even though I still have a vagina? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it's hard to, talk about any of it because you're going to offend somebody. Like, right now, you have people who their favorite rapper is 21 Savage, or their favorite rapper is ESTG, or anybody, and all those songs are just talking about how violent they are and killing people. And then, people will say, oh, it's because of these socioeconomic reasons. I know right now, I ain't gonna say that. Sorry.
Hey,
Um,
rewind a little bit. Like I think the biggest thing is like we've normalized so much in our culture, right?
we've
Which is why,
normalized everything. We've normalized
right,
people changing their
right.
gender. We've
Which is
normalized
yeah,
people selling
which is
vagina.
you know what
We've
I'm saying. At the end
normalized
of the day,
prostitution. We've normalized
yeah,
OnlyFans.
we
We've
normalize
normalized
everything,
being a
right?
gangster
Because
for no reason. People ain't
we,
never even had to sell crack, and they out here acting like they gangster, and it's killing me because people have no real socioeconomic. I don't understand how you can walk out of your home that both of your parents live in, and you're not hungry, and you're gonna eat again when you come home, and you're gonna get Christmas presents. And let me say again, you don't have to stand on the corner and sell crack, but you out here thugged out talking about your ops and talking about who you gonna slide on. Like, I'm tired of folks acting like they gangster. It's killing me. I've literally fell out with people because they want to live that gangster life so bad, because these are the things that we've let into our culture that we've just let stick. Like, even right now with Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B and whoever, being sluts on television just for the sake of selling records. That comes directly from the feminist movement. And the feminist movement is the best thing that ever happened to horny men. Like, free the nipple. Yeah, I think you should free the nipple. I should be able to have sex with whoever I want. I think you should too. I should be able to walk down the street butt naked. Maybe so. I believe that I should be able to get an abortion. Yep, that'll help me. I believe that I should be able to wear what I want. Yeah, them titties do look good in that bra shirt you got on.
bruh, I mean, so here's the thing. I get like, you know what I'm saying, everything you're saying, like it all boils down to normalizing things in our culture. And we normalize things, and I'm a Christian, spiritual person. We normalize things because we get uncomfortable with what the Bible says because it doesn't fit our lives, right? And we begin to normalize things as saying like, yo, the Bible's outdated to new society, right? Well, where do you think those principles came from? You know what I'm saying? Like, where at some point we just had an influential figure who believed in the idea, right? And since you see this person, you put more trust in them than you do in the word of God because you see this person and they have a certain prestige, right? So that's all it takes is influential people to portray an idea to believe that it should be normalized by society. And when you speak out against the idea, it's like, oh, you're judging, oh, you're being disrespectful, oh, you know what I'm saying? You get all these things towards you, but at the end of the day, it's like, yo, we normalize so many things that are harmful to our community, and then we get puzzled by why we can't move forward, right? And like whether or not somebody wants to be a boy or girl, like that doesn't matter to me. Like, do what you want to do, right?
That's y'all some weirdos.
But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is this, right? People can make their own choices. That's literally what separates us from humans. Your ability to make a choice. But the flip side of that is choices have consequences. And that's just the plain fact of it. Every decision you make has a consequence to it. I'm not the one that's gonna inflict those consequences onto you or not. Like that has nothing to do with me. But don't get upset when you make a choice and you experience the consequences of the choice. Right? Like that's my biggest thing. Is like it's not on me to be in there to fight the consequences for your choices. That was your choice, and you knew that those consequences were going to come with it. Now, if you want to make that choice, free will, do whatever the heck you want to do. Like that's cool. I don't care. It's not my life, right? But at the end of the day, we have to understand that there's a deeper root to a lot of these things that we normalize, and we don't feel comfortable pointing out the uncomfortable. And like you say all the time, it's a crutch. People want a crutch to be able to say that something is wrong with them rather than looking inside of themselves and finding the real issue. They will rather point on something that's outside, that's not in their control, to make them feel better about their situation. And it kills me. It kills me because you have stuff going on in you, but rather than looking at that problem that you have within yourself, you would rather look to something that you literally have no control over and be like, you know what? That's why I feel this way. And like to me, it's like, yo, the number one step to creating the life you want is taking accountability for your own life. If you never take accountability for your life, then whose life are you living? Whose life are you living? If you don't have ownership of your life, ownership of your decision, ownership of your choices, ownership of your emotions, your thoughts, your actions. Whose life are you living? Are you living the world's life or are you living your life? Let me know. You
This is
feel
the
me?
thing. You look at all this. You look at all this struggle and whatnot in the black community, and even in the early, in the early civil rights movement and everything, we were begging for rights. We were begging to be able to go into McDonald's. We were begging to be able to use the restroom, begging to be able to get on the bus, begging for so many things. And we've always been begging other communities to do things for us because if what I'm saying, Ray Ray and them over there shooting people, I can't just go over there and what I'm saying, speak to Ray Ray and them because they're not really listening to me. And it will be problematic for me to say that this is a culture issue because then you're generalizing people. But the thing is, if white people went ahead and said that they don't care about crime, they don't care about family dynamics, miseducation in the schools, devaluing of property, they don't care about any of that, what are black people going to do? And then on top of people using these things as crutches and not taking control of their own life, this is the best era to be lazy. You know what I'm saying? We got all these anxious attachments and anxiety and depression and all these disorders because then I can just go get some medicine and I can say that, it's just
So
I'm losing
real
stress
quick,
on
right?
brain.
Because I don't want people to think that. And if you're uncomfortable speaking about this, it's fine. But I don't want people to just think you're talking, right? Like me and you, we're best friends. So I know your history dealing with some of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important for people to know that you are speaking from experience and you're just not speaking outside looking in. Like you've
Yeah.
been through some of those anxiety, depression, and you still go through it sometimes, right? So like what made you change your thought process to like it's like yo I gotta do some things within my life and stop just going to whoever who are paid to say that you have this issue. How are you able to make that transition?
I mean, I tried to end it all in the back parking lot of a Walgreens and woke up to like 6 police cars, paramedics, firefighters, all types of people around me, and ended up having to go to crazy house and seeing people get sedated and their brains turned into potatoes because they felt like they heard the dog outside the window. And you talk to a psychiatrist, they don't talk to you for 3 minutes, give you some pills, and you look up the pills, and those pills are what they give to people who have seizures. So that's how people get stuck on all these drugs and opioids and whatnot. But the thing is, when it comes to these mental things, anything that is mental is self-inflicted. And the thing is, there's nothing that will be more elating than to feel like my problems are not my own. If I wake up today and I want to end it all, it's because of the world. If I wake up and I don't want to go to work, or if I wake up and it stinks in my house and I got an eviction notice on my door and there's nothing to eat and I'm sick, there's nothing that'll be more elating than believing that it's only because of my own virtue and because the world is fighting against me. That would make me feel really good about myself if it was for reasons that were not my own. And so when you talk about people, just having all these crutches and whatnot, the last thing that somebody wants to hear is that something is their own fault. Because right now, if my dog dies and I don't go to work for the rest of the month and I get evicted, somebody asks, "Oh, why did you get it? Why are you living on the side of the street?" "Oh, my dog died." No, it's not because your dog died. It's because you didn't go to work for 30 days. But it's better to just be able to say, "Oh, because of this trauma. I had this trauma when I was growing up." Nobody just wakes up and says they don't have a penis. Nobody just wakes up and then goes and shoots 13 people within the community. We saw the dude who, shot out Memphis going place to place. Those are demons he's fighting. Like, you don't do that unless you're extremely angry. You don't do that unless something is really filtering up inside of you. You don't go, do a drive-by listening to Kurt Franklin. You feel me? You don't end up you get a lot of self-respecting in black people and you put them into an environment that is extremely calm and there's a jazz piano playing and everybody's eating steak, they're not gonna it might not end up in gunshots. But if I'm in this joint and I hear "Nuck if you buck" and I see some folks I don't like and we all jumping around, bumping shoulders and whatnot, somebody might get shot. But the last thing somebody would want to believe is that it's their fault that they're in the situation they're in. It's because you guys have allowed this environment to turn into this. Because you can go look through the hood, and I understand that the property has been devalued. I understand that the schools, don't really get the funding that they need. I understand that potholes and other things that need to be changed back in the community, no one's going to care about until they're ready to gentrify it. Then all of a sudden they're going to put children playing signs everywhere, and the community is going to become nicer. I understand that, but you don't just wake up and in the whole hood ain't nobody lawn mowed. You feel me?
Right.
Like somebody got a lawnmower. You can go cut all these lawns for $100 a pop. You feel me? And before you know it, you made $1,000 in a day. But that will require you to take pride in yourself and your community. And especially in this age of social media and whatever, nobody lives in the now. Nobody lives in the reality. They're, mentally I'm here, and they post a picture in Bali. Mentally I'm here, and they post somebody kayaking in Jamaica. No, you're not. You're in the hood. You haven't done what you need to do. You have homework. You need to work in the morning. But rather than, going to work and putting in, so much work that you become undeniable at your job, you just say, well, I just work at Best Buy. I just work at Target. I just work at FedEx. These folks gonna get the bare minimum. Okay, and you're gonna get bare minimum pay. Well, I'll work harder if they gave me more money. These are businesses. They're not gambling. Nobody's gonna look at you and be like, that young man just seems like he has some real gusto about him. I'm going to give him a $10 pay raise. They might have the money to do these things, and it might be something that they already need to do. But in the reality of which we live, you got to do the shucking job. I know better than anybody about the shucking job. I've been having to do the shucking job for forever. It's the only reason I even have the job that I have now, because I understand the shucking job. But that's because I lived and my parents were business people. I know people who their father was a lawyer, and now they're strung out on drugs, hopping on Instagram Live off perks. And it makes me sad to see it, but I understand that those are the people that you hanged around that think perks is cool. You buy your perks from your friends. You feel me? Y'all pop perks together. You know what I'm saying? Y'all perk babies. So now that's just something that you enjoy to do. But like I said, it is elating to feel like the things that I am going through are because of other forces. Yes, there are spirits and whatnot out here, but you allow whatever spirits to come about you. If you live in a home and you hate for it to get cold, you hate freezing, you're going to turn up the thermostat. Why? Because you want your environment to be warm. So if you have a lot of clutter in your mind, or you're depressed, or you don't feel self-respect about yourself, you should probably care about yourself and your environment. But if you don't have any self-love, you're not going to clean up. You're not going to take a shower. You're not going to wash your clothes. So now you stink. Your clothes stink. Your house stink. You don't like your environment. You're depressed. And you're going to blame it on your brain and say, I have depression, and that's why my room looks like this. No, your room looks like that because you didn't care about your environment and you didn't love yourself. And the thing is, people always talk about respectability politics. They feel like they don't need to be respectable to anybody. They don't need to do this. They don't need to do that. Well, all right, just be a crackhead. I'm pretty sure every homeless person or crackhead on the street has some sob story to tell you, because we all have sob story. Whether you're the richest person on earth or the poorest person on earth, everybody has a sob story. But what you gonna do tomorrow?
And I feel like what you just said is crucial, because everybody has their own adversity. And I even remember, like, what I'm saying, me growing up, you used to always say my life was perfect, right? And it's not that my
Light skin, curly hair.
but it's not like my life was perfect. It's just when I did experience adversity and difficulties, my perception was different, right? Like, I refused to let setbacks define me at an early age. And I would construct my environment to positively influence my thoughts, which would directly correlate to my emotions, which would directly correlate into my decisions and my actions, right? But what I feel like we don't ultimately know in the Black community is that our environment directly impacts our thoughts. And from our thoughts, we feel our emotions. And from our emotions, we react. And when we react and create this action and behaviors, that creates our reality, right? And so I think the quicker that we understand that, we would be able to start changing around our environments to be like, yo, I'm thinking like this because I'm hanging around this. I'm thinking like this because I'm listening to this. I'm thinking like this because I'm watching this. You know what I'm saying? When we start taking more accountability for that, it's like, yo, let me put something else into my ear. Let me watch something else today. Let me not hang around that person. Let me not go to that neighborhood. Let me not go there tonight. Then we would see our thoughts changing and our values changing. And then when something happens, we see our emotions changing. And then we see our actions changing. But we don't understand that direct correlation, right, within our community. And it's important that we go and educate people that, yo, like, there's literally scientific evidence behind the fact that what you are around will determine how you think and see the world.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? And I do understand there are situations where some people are in an environment that they do not want to be in, but that's where they are. I 100% understand that, right? But rather than focusing on what you can't control, let's focus on the aspects that you can control. And I firmly believe when you do that, over time, you will find yourself in the position that you want to find yourself in. But it's not going to happen overnight. It might not happen in a year. It might happen in 5 years, which is fine. But it will happen, right? Like, God willing, it will happen. But we have to be comfortable with that delayed gratification. And so what you just hit on is huge. And I think this episode has been huge and we've hit on a lot of stuff. But Black lives obviously matter. There's no doubt about that, right? But when we say Black lives matter, we need to be focusing on the fact like, yo, Black lives matter regardless of the circumstance. It don't just matter when somebody's in need. They just don't matter when somebody's made it out. They don't matter when somebody got on a $500 outfit or a $5 outfit. They always matter, right? And they matter because we love one another. And when you love somebody else, then you're willing to help that person get what they want, even if you don't gain anything in return. Mm-hmm. That's what we have to get to, because that does matter. That's what we want to show, and we have to be willing to show that by taking the time. Like, yo, if you are dealing with stuff, like if you are a boy and you want to be a girl, you're a girl, you want to be a boy, or if you in the hood right now, you think the only way you can make it out is rapping, selling dope, or if you grew up good all your life and you think that you're a token Black guy and you need to be around a white, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of what it is, all of those situations have something in common. It comes from here and here, right? So let's just boil down to the work, right? Like, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to look at you any differently, right? But I just want to help you to get to the point to where you feel like you're truly living the life you want to live. And when you say you're living the life you want to live and you're doing everything you want to do, hey, more power to you, man, right? Because I'm not living your life. And I'm cool with whatever you do, whatever decision you want to make, that's fine with me. Because I'm not living your life. I'm going to live mine. I just want to make sure that you're not living your life based off the principles of other people. Because then you're not living your life, you're living their life. And that's how I feel towards that.
A wise man by the name of I Make Mad Beats once said to me, niggas is organisms out here at the end of the day. And whether you be a bug, a human, an animal, or a flower, every organism has to be able to survive. You have plants out there, when it notices things around, what's the Venus flytrap? When it sees a fly around, it does this. You have bugs out there who can't fight, but when they see danger, they camouflage. You have animals out there who might not be able to, run really fast, but they stalk. You feel me? So at the end of the day, person to person, niggas is organisms. It's still Derwin's Law at the end of the day. It's still survival of the fittest. What are you doing today to survive tomorrow? Because I remember you said it, I forget what book you were reading, but you said whether or not you water the garden or you do, something's still going to grow. It's either going to be a pretty looking flower or it's going to be a weed. So you got to understand, like, what are you doing right now? You feel me? I fall into it all the time. You know, I could sit up and play 2K all day and I got enough money saved up and, I got my 9 to 5, I'm going to still be able to make rent. But, when certain obstacles come and certain hardships come, or just, life's nonsense, which will come. There's nothing you can do about it. How are you going to survive? You feel me?
And I want to change that surviving word to respond, right? Because survive, I think that's like you're just trying to make it, right? But when you respond, it's like, I'm here, right? And so, like you said, it doesn't matter who you are, life is gonna happen. And you can't control that at all. But how are you gonna respond? When it does happen to you, how are you gonna respond? And so the quote comes from as a man thinketh. It's like a man's mind, right, which is a woman or a man, is likened to a garden. Whether or not you choose to tend to that garden or not, it's still going to bring forth. But you have the ability to determine whether or not the garden is a garden of flowers or a garden of weeds. That's on you. But whether or not you do anything for it, it's going to grow. But you have the power to determine what you grow. So I think that's huge what you just said. And I think this is, honestly, personally, I feel like this has been our best podcast episode. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just been genuine and real. But I know we got to wrap it up. You feel me? But I think this is it, though. I really think we have some very fruitful discussions in this joint.
Yeah, man. Niggas is organisms out here.
But y'all know how we do, man. Under the rug, man. This is what we do. Like, we don't care. Like, we gonna talk about stuff. We gonna give our perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Like, we're not talking to please you. We're just having discussion. Whether you agree with something, disagree with something, guess what's gonna happen next week? Another episode is gonna drop. You feel me?
Another episode. We everywhere like the air.
Hey, everywhere like the air, but like, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the season 3, episode 1. New platform, new environment, new discussions. We on top of everything. Soon as it drop, we own it. We on camera with the audio. Make sure you follow us, man. Follow me at CK3 The Thrill. You know what I'm saying? Here with my co-host.
Honorable T Note, you know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all follow us on all social media platforms at UTR the podcast, and make sure that you hit subscribe.
Please.
Because a large percentage of our viewers are not subscribed, so we're going to change that right now. If you watching this, you know what I'm saying, send it to your grandma and them. Tell them folks to play it at the barbershop. You feel me? Listen to it while you ride down the street. You know what I'm saying? We need to go in everywhere. If you pull up to your local wing shop, you know what I'm saying, tell them to play it on the TV. Ain't nobody trying to watch them, you know what I'm saying, tired Judge Judy episodes, you know what I'm saying, throw on that under the rug.
Cut that Stephen A. Smith off, man. Ain't nobody trying to watch that no more.
Come on now.
Man. We watching Under the Rug. That's what we on.
Come on now. Ain't trying to watch for a steak no more.
Hey, appreciate you tuning in though, man. We out here. Holla at you.